Hi, I'm Tamara, and this is TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm talking with Jim Stickley. He's a cybersecurity expert. He has over 25 years of experience, and today he shares with us how to protect our families from what's happening with hackers on the internet. And do you know what the dark web is, or ransomware? Jim will tell us all about it. Hi, Jim. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Okay, so you are a cybersecurity expert, and I feel like it's really important for everyday people like me to understand what we should be worried about or what we should be looking at to protect ourselves. So before we get into all of that, why don't you explain what a cybersecurity expert does? You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of, it could be anything. I mean, I'll tell you what I do, and then everybody's different. So I spent my entire career breaking into things, hacking into whatever people wanted me to. So I started out pretty young, just on the hacking side of things. So I got a little older. I realized, hey, probably not such a good idea to do that. And companies started paying me, though, to test their security. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, could you hack into us from home? And I go, sure. So I would hack in and steal whatever they wanted me to steal, and they would pay me to do that. And I was like, well, that's pretty stupid. I wonder who else would pay this. And it pretty much just became a thing. And then over my career, I've now just hacked into pretty much, every type of organization you could think of, from small mom and pop type stuff to government facilities and kind of everything in between. And it's just absurd. And of course, the concept is, if we hire this guy to do it and he finds vulnerabilities, hopefully he finds the stuff before real criminals do, so we don't actually fall victim to, Russian hackers or whatever it happens to be.
Right. So I remember seeing you on TV, or maybe it was on your YouTube, where you sat by the pool at a resort, right? You're pretty well known for this moment where you're at a resort, you're at the bar, and there's other people by the pool, and you were able to easily get into see what they were doing on their phones.
Yeah, that was a Today Show segment, and that one was fun because it was in Cancun, and I like it when they take me to fun places. Some of the ones they do are kind of lame, but that one was a fun one because that's it. I just got to sit at the pool all day and just hack people at the hotel, and it was great because we're down in Mexico, and the hotel gave us permission, and I'm like, this is insanity. And so they told us, yeah, you go ahead and you can do whatever you want on our network, and we're just like, okay. And so all day long we were just getting into people's devices, and it was fun. I mean, it was really crazy. And it was really simple. I mean, for that one, it was basically, we weren't specifically hacking their devices. We were hacking their connections. So we were breaking the encryption between them and whatever they were communicating with, and then monitoring everything they were doing. And then on top of that, we could also see little things like, whatever their phone was registered as, we could see who their name was and that type of stuff based on their phones and other information like that.
So okay, let's walk me through that. If I am, because obviously I'm not a big corporation, I'm not worried personally about them, being hacked, although I probably should because my information is with a lot of big companies.
Yes.
But with my phone, if I'm sitting by a pool somewhere and like somebody can seriously hack into my phone if I'm sitting at a pool using Wi-Fi, is that the problem? The Wi-Fi?
Yeah. And again, I don't want to mislead. I wasn't in the phone. I was in between the phone and the internet. And so, and there's certain things you could get off the phone, just some information. But basically what happened was anybody that was at the pool thought they were connecting to the hotel's Wi-Fi down at the pool. The difference was I'd spun up my own Wi-Fi, had a stronger signal, so everybody was actually connecting to me instead. So they all thought they were on the hotel's Wi-Fi network. They were on my network. And then once they were on my network, I just made it so that the encryption that generally little HTTPS you see like on the websites, I just made it so it was broken. So any sites they went to would give this error saying the encryption's broken. But most people don't pay attention. They go, I'm in Mexico. Oh, I'm at a hotel. Their Wi-Fi sucks. I don't care. And they hit continue. And they just continue on with their transactions and doing whatever they're doing because they don't want to be blocked from the internet. And so the options are either no internet at all or approve and continue on. And so everybody was just approving and continuing on. And from that point, everything they did on the internet, I was just watching.
Oh my gosh. Right. And you're so right. We just press continue because we don't want to be disrupted. We just want to get our stuff or look at our thing.
Yeah, and most people don't really understand what that message means. I mean, if you're obviously in the IT industry, you go, oh, yeah, I get it immediately. But my mom, if she sees a message like that, that means absolutely nothing to her. All that means is hit OK, hit continue. That's all that means to her because I'm just trying to move on with whatever it is I'm trying to do. And so, and that's the only message they're going to get. Once they hit continue, from that point on, anything they're doing, the encryption is just broken, and just they don't have any idea, and they don't know even what that means. The whole idea is when you see that little HTTPS on the top of your browser and has a little lock, all that's telling you is between your computer or your phone and whatever business you're talking to right now, there's this encrypted link. There's this, everything you're doing has this like secure channel. And that means if I'm sitting on the internet somewhere and trying to watch what's happening, I can't read, it's just a garbled mess. However, if I'm the one controlling your access point, the place you connected to for your Wi-Fi, at that point, I can just make it to where the encryption doesn't work anymore. I just break it. So now on your side, you get a weird little error, but most people don't even pay attention. And now everything you're doing is just plain text. So now if I'm watching on that same network segment, I can watch every character you type. So if you log into your email, I watch your login and password. If you go to make a purchase, I see you type in your name, address, social security number, or credit card information, depending on what you're filling out. I'm capturing all of that information. So it's just all plain text now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I saw you speak, you spoke about something I've never heard of before. I feel, I can't believe I'd never heard of the dark web before.
What?
I hadn't, Jim.
Really?
Like, no, and I had never heard the words dark web before until I heard you talk about it. And I checked with other people, and guess what? No one I know had heard of the dark web. So I know this is, you look bewildered right now. Like you can't even believe what I just told you.
Well, most people have never been on the dark web, but most people, I assume by now you've at least, heard it in talking or in passing.
Well, now I have, but I mean, I think I heard you a couple of years ago. I don't know. I have no
it's
sense
been a while
of time.
probably since I did that session, but
still, okay. So I bet there's people listening that don't know what the dark web is. I guarantee it. I need you to, because it terrifies me now that I know what it is. Tell us what the dark web is.
Sure. So the dark web, it's not that big and scary. It can just be used for bad stuff. So right now you have the regular internet, which we're on right now, and that's how we're talking to each other. And then you have the dark web, which runs on the backbone, same backbone as the internet. The only real difference is instead of using your normal web browser, so like right now I'm on Google Chrome, and you might be using Edge or Safari or whatever you're using, there's a separate web browser, and generally you use what's known as Tor, T-O-R, it's a Tor web browser, and that web browser allows you to browse the dark web. Now, unlike the regular internet, on the dark web, there isn't this standard thing of where I can just go to Google and search for things. Like the dark web, everything is hidden, and you have to know what you're looking for. And more importantly, everything you do is 100% private. So right now, for example, you connect to me, I connect to you. We could probably, if we look behind the scenes, figure out what our IP addresses are for each other. It shouldn't be that hard to do. If I'm going through the dark web and I connect to some place on the other side, it is impossible for them to see my IP address or where I'm coming from. I could be anywhere in the world and they can't see that. Same thing for them though. Even though I'm able to connect to them, I actually don't know that their IP address is and I don't know where they are. And it's a very complicated system in between, but the basic concept here is everything is obfuscated from everybody else. And the original idea of this wasn't for criminals. It was actually set up for basically privacy. So if I was a whistleblower and maybe I worked for a government agency in some country where they'll kill me if I release this stuff, I could go into the dark web, post this information, and no one will be able to tie it back to me. And a great example of the value of this is right now. So recently, Twitter spun up a new dark web Twitter specifically for the Russia-Ukraine thing, because Russians were blocked from being able to access Twitter. So Twitter said, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to spin up a dark web version so people in Russia can get around the blocks to still be able to get to Twitter to be able to get this information out from both sides. So there is value to the dark web. The downside, though, is criminals realize, wait a minute, you're telling me I can go out and I can make a website where I can sell anything I want, drugs, guns, stolen information, put it all online, use Bitcoin or one of the other different types of coins that are out there, the digital coins, have people come from anywhere in the world, be able to buy my stuff, and nobody can know who anybody is. It's the greatest system ever. So from from a criminal standpoint, I mean, you basically have this black market where everybody can work together. And so it's become a thriving thing now. I mean, now it's just like where you have like Amazon, you literally have sites that criminals go to and they can have shops on the site. So now this one site might host 1,000 different people selling their stuff, and it's all categorized. So I could go like, oh, I'm looking for guns. And I can go to whole sections that are just selling any kind of gun I can ever imagine. Or I'm looking for a hitman. I need someone to kill my wife. I can go here and look for a hitman and find one. Like anything you can imagine, you can buy on the dark web.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It went from being okay, and then you just mentioned hitman and guns, and that like took a turn for me. Wow.
Yeah, it can get twisted for, and that's the thing. Like, but it's cool. Like, if you've never been on the dark web, again, you can go pick up Tor, it's a Tor web browser. You can download it. It's free. It's legal. You can put it on your computer, and then you can go and do some research just on Google to find out some websites that are out there, because they're always .onion is how the websites are as opposed to .com. You use this new little browser, and you can start going around to random sites, and you'll be shocked the stuff that's out there. And that's legal to go look at all this stuff.
Wow. Okay, so you mentioned information. So are people selling other people's information on the dark web?
Absolutely. And so you can buy it. So that's its own economy. So let's say that, let's say I'm a hacker, okay? And I go out and I breach an organization and I steal a database and it has 100,000 records with names, social security numbers, all sorts of personal information. Steal that thing. Well, I'm a hacker. I'm not an identity thief. So what am I going to do with this information? I'm just sitting on it. In the old days, it wouldn't do much. It would just be like, oh, great, I got all this information. It's not really that helpful. But with the dark web, I can go into the dark web and I can go, okay, I'm going to put an ad up. And I say, you know what? I'm selling 100,000 records. Here's the price. Maybe it's $60,000 or whatever the amount is. And I put it into Bitcoin and I post it. Someone else comes along and they go, okay, I'm going to buy that because I could use that. They buy that 100,000 records. Now, clearly, they're not going to be able to scam 100,000 people. So they then break it down further and they then resell it at maybe 10,000 records a pop. And then somebody else comes along, buys those 10,000, breaks it down even further until finally you get to the actual identity thieves at the end. And by that point, they can buy like 10 records at a time. So they'll buy 10 records at maybe $5 a record, or some of them are as cheap as $1, some of them are as much as $20 or $30, depending on how much information is available. They buy those, and then they go out and commit identity theft against those people. So it's like this entire ecosystem that's built its own economy around just identity theft.
Wow. So let's talk about identity theft for a second. If I'm, one of those people, which I am, by the way, who has a lot of apps on their phone, and I get asked to, access my photos and access this and change this and put in this and all those things that you get asked for. And I do all of those things. Am I vulnerable to identity theft?
So how are you being asked to do these things?
Well, like if you go on to say any of these apps and all of a sudden it wants access to your photos.
Yeah.
And then, now there's a new window that pops up about it sending your info to third party, whatever, to, and it's like you said, right? All these windows start popping up and it's like, I just want to have this app that makes my dog talk. That's all I want. But now I've got to put in all this stuff.
Yeah. So I guess the short answer is, yeah,
you're what? Stop, Tamara. Don't put your
sucks to be you. Basically, so the apps themselves are generally secure. Okay. Where you get into the problem is the permissions. Every time you give a permission to an app, it now has access to that thing. So if you have an app, let's say that you have an app that makes your dog talk, and you go, that's a funny app, and you go, okay, and then it says, we need access to your email, and you go, okay, well, why would a talking dog app need access to your email? Like immediately you should be like, no, and like you want to decline. Like you have to figure out on your own, what should this access? Because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of information. Now, most apps that you're going to get from the main stores like Apple or Google are legitimate, but not all of them. And there's been, literally at this point, thousands and thousands of malicious apps that have been pulled down over time. Some of them that have been around for a while. So it's up to you to have some basic, okay, I'm going to have this kind of, when I download an app, I'm going to look and see what permissions is it asking for. And I'm going to use common sense and a little bit of logic here to decide, does it really need that access? And if you don't think it does, you should not give it that access. Things like contacts, email, photos are the big ones, especially like for the people that are out there that are, drinking a little too much wine and then taking selfies that are in the naked, at night or something. Those will come back to haunt you all day long if you're giving access to people to your photos on these apps, because a lot of those apps pull that stuff back down, and then there's programs that'll literally go through those photos automatically looking for skin and looking for nudity, and then they can use those against you for all sorts of sextortion and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, sextortion's a big deal.
But that's how they do it. They have apps that look for skin and.
Oh, sure. When your computer gets compromised, so let's say that you get ransomware. Everybody has this idea on ransomware that, if ransomware gets on my computer, it's no big deal because it locks me out of my files, but I have a backup of everything. So I could always just refresh my computer, pull the stuff off a backup, and who cares? And while that's true to that point, most ransomware has come a long way from that early days of just locking you out of stuff. Now, when you get ransomware, in most cases, it gets on your computer, you don't know it's on your computer, and it begins downloading all of your files, and it downloads all of your images, all of your docs, all of your Excel files, all of your PDFs, any documentation that it has. It pulls all that stuff to the criminals first. Once they have all of that, then they lock you out of your computer and tell you to pay your fee. Now, if you don't pay the fee, they still have this information and all the stuff they've gathered on you. They can then go through that automated, through programs that look through like the documentation stuff and look through for like social security numbers. So like, let's say your accountant sends you your tax information and has your social security number in there. Automated programs will find that stuff. They can then use that stuff against you. It'll go through your photos and look for anything that seems compromising. They find you that stuff, then they'll send you an email back saying, hey, by the way, check out this cool picture we found of you. Maybe we'll send this out to all your contacts, or you can pay us a little bit of money and we won't. So there's a lot of different ways they can use your stuff against you.
Okay, you just mentioned ransomware, and that was another thing that you talked about that I also really wasn't aware of, ransomware. I didn't know what that meant. You just look surprised again. You're like, oh my God, Tamara, you're very vulnerable online. Apparently I am.
Yeah.
So what is ransomware?
Okay, so ransomware is basically malicious software, malware, if you will, that gets on your computer, generally through like phishing emails, that type of thing, or going to malicious websites, gets on your computer, and once it's on your computer, it just locks you out of your stuff. So by doing that, what it's really doing is it encrypts every file you have and puts a password on them. So if you try to access them, you can't. And then it puts a message on your screen and it says, hey, you have 24 hours to either pay us or you'll never have access to those files again. And that was the basic ransomware, and that's the basic concept of it. And of course, it's been around for a little while now, and most people are catching on that if I just have a backup of everything, don't really care. Hey, no big deal. I just restore my backup, tell them pound rocks, and I'm good. And that's why ransomware is morphing into being far more aggressive in what it does now by pulling down information and taking stuff from you in the hopes that it can use that stuff against you in other ways.
So how do I protect myself from something like ransomware?
Obviously you want antivirus and all that stuff stuck on your computer for sure. But on top of that, you also need to have like some, like a little bit of paranoia. It's because it's phishing emails and malicious websites that are going to do you in. I think it's like 90% of ransomware comes through phishing emails. So when you get an email, it looks like it comes from a friend, coworker, loved one, or whatever, and you click the link, and people go, oh, well, I clicked the link and went to the website, but I didn't install anything. Often just clicking the link is all it takes for the malware to get installed. Because when you go to that malicious website, it'll exploit something in your browser or something else to gain access to your computer. And you won't see it. It'll just look like a normal web page to you. And behind the scenes, the malware is installing on your computer. Same with attachments. If you receive an email and it has an attachment, and you haven't confirmed, it was unsolicited, meaning it just came from a random friend or a coworker or loved one. You just get this email one day and it's like, check out this funny picture. And you're like, all right. And you double click on the image to see what it is. And it comes up and it's just, a picture of a dog or, it doesn't matter what it is. Then the malware can still install through those types of things. And you wouldn't have any idea it's happening either until a day or two later when something pops up on your screen telling you you're now hacked.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is, it's funny. I want to ask you about, it's not funny, but I want to ask you about passwords because Sometimes when I open up Safari, and I know other people do this too, I'm here for a good time, Jim. Like, I'm here to just like type my things, answer my emails, look at some stuff, have my photos. I'm not, and so I think, oh, well, why would anybody ever want to hack into me, sort of thing. I understand why, and that's pretty Pollyanna to look at it that way. But when I open up Safari, now there's things that say, oh, this many passwords were potentially compromised in a whatever thing. And there's a little warning. I thought that was fake. I thought it was like a thing for me. So I did click on it one day and I was like, oh my gosh, like all these passwords have been compromised or whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you something and I don't want you to judge me right away.
I judged you long ago. It's okay.
I know you did. Listen, I'm one of those people that has the same password for a lot of things, probably 90% of my things. How do you feel about that?
From a hacking standpoint, I feel great. Let's talk more. You're probably in trouble. Here's why. Okay, it's not even that. It's so many times people have this idea that, well, if I have a really strong password, that's going to keep me okay. So I can use the same one because it's 50 characters long. I've gone bananas and I've got the most incredible password ever. And that's not the problem. The problem is exactly what you said at the beginning here, and that was an organization gets hacked where your password was used. So a huge one was Yahoo. It's been several years ago. Yahoo had a breach and it was like 1 billion passwords were released. It was like some crazy number. Maybe exaggerating. I don't think I am. It was an absurd number. It was 100 million. Doesn't really matter. Lots of passwords. We're going to go with lots. And so lots of passwords were stolen, and they were all plain text, meaning that this database that was stolen, you could actually read the password in the database, and you also had the person's email address. So now, if you think about it, almost every website you go to, the login is your email address now. It's rare that you actually type in like your name anymore or something like that. You now just type in your email, and then your password is your password. So now, if I'm a criminal and I hack this one database, and in that database I get your email and your password, the first thing I'm going to do is try that email and password at every other major website on the planet. And if you use the same password everywhere, it doesn't matter how strong it is, I've got it, and I'm going to use it at all the places. So that's where you get into trouble. Is it's not that you screw up, it's that some third party screws up, and now that password is out there. And once it's out there, the reason that Safari knows about it is because then those things end up on the dark web, they've been reported, and once they're on the dark web, everybody then can see them, and now you're in trouble. So like if you're getting a list of, hey, all these passwords have been compromised, everybody knows those passwords now. Like it's not just Safari magically knew them, they're everywhere. And so that's why you need to then make sure you're changing them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Here I thought it wasn't even real. I thought, oh, this is like some scam. I think everything's a scam, but really like
most everything is. That's actually a good place to be. That's where you want to start.
Everything's a scam?
Yeah,
everything's a scam.
I think the whole world's a scam.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a few more questions for you, but before we do that, I just want to mention that we always like to thank our guests for being here, and we ask them to choose a Canadian nonprofit organization where we give them $500 in your name, and you chose Hackers for Change. Shocking. And their mission is to educate and enable charities to protect their information systems.
Cool.
So that is a great thing. So thank you for choosing Hackers for Change, and we will give them $500 in your name for them. So, okay, before we wrap up, I just want to, this is what you do, and you are such a wealth of information, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, because I know at the big corporation level, I can't do anything about that, but I can protect myself. I can protect my family. I have 3 kids, tweens and teens, who are clicking on everything. Yeah. Absolutely everything. And when I try to warn them about something, they look at me like I am like an old lady that doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So how do we protect our families, Jim? Because I'm not the only one that has these, 11 and 13-year-olds that know everything.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing, two things. First, don't let them use any of your computers that you use for online banking, for online purchases, for anything like that. I refer to them as beater computers. Give them computers that are their own, that they can just beat the hell out of, that they're going to get hacked, they're going to get compromised, and they're not computers that are ones that you're using for anything of importance. That said, also, if you have the option, give them like a Chromebook or have them use a tablet over a PC or a Mac. PCs and Macs, they're just easy pickings from a hacker standpoint. They crater to pretty much everything. They get viruses. Everybody has this idea, oh, it's a Mac, so it's okay. That's all garbage. PCs and Macs will fall apart. On the other hand, if you have a Chromebook, they're not that expensive. They can just take a beating. They are almost bulletproof. You give one of those to your kids, they can click away. It's very rare they're going to end up with something malicious on those machines because they do hold up so well. And the other thing you can do is try to keep them. So you know how most homes now, when you put a Wi-Fi device into your home, they have a guest network. Stick your kids on the guest network. That way they're not even part of your home network. They're off completely on their own thing. So if they're getting hacked and they're getting compromised, they still have full speed, but they're not putting the rest of the family at risk.
That's brilliant. I never even thought about that. And are there any, what should I really, if you were to say, what would you want people to remember from our conversation? Like 3 things that they should take care of right now to protect themselves, or that they should get on their computers, or they should get rid of on their computers. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, obviously, you need antivirus. I mean, that's just, there's so many people that still either don't have it or don't keep up with it. Don't just assume Windows Defender is taking care of you, because it's not. You need some sort of third-party software on your machine. So that'd probably be number 1. Number 2, if you're not monitoring your identity in some way, I mean, you can do it yourself. Just go to, well, see, you guys are Canada. I don't know how you monitor yours there, so good luck with that. But but you should be. You should be doing something to monitor. And what I'm talking about there is basically you want to watch your credit. You want to watch your credit reports, because generally what happens is when your identity is stolen, criminals go out and they start opening up new accounts under your name. They're doing things under your name. And you generally don't find out until, that train's far down the track. And then by then, it's just a complete mess. Keeping an eye on what's going on your credit helps you kind of understand. So if all of a sudden you see something new that you didn't do, you can get on it before it gets too out of control. So that would be pretty good. And then in general, I guess number 3 is you got to be a little paranoid now. I mean, like, everybody has this idea that it won't happen to me. And, you look, and I don't know what the numbers are. There's crazy statistics out there of how many people are falling victim to this stuff worldwide. Like, all of those people were into the same idea, it won't happen to me. And it does. And there's just so many different ways that criminals can use this stuff against you. And they're not targeting you. Nobody's picking a person. They generally get mailing lists that have 100,000 emails on it, and they just send it out to 100,000 people. And if you click, you're now in the net. Like, that's how it works. It's not that they knew you were in this small little town somewhere. It's the world's all connected, and it's just one click away. So just be a little bit paranoid, I guess.
Yeah, that's such good advice. Okay, you wrote a book called The Truth About Identity Theft, and so you walk people through real life scams and exploits. So that's a good place for people to start. You're on YouTube, and I've watched lots of your videos and learned a lot from you there. So I'm just telling people. So for more information, like, Jim is like very entertaining and really informative, Jim, because we need to know this stuff. And you present it in a way that is really accessible for everyday people. And I know you work with huge corporations, but this is stuff we all need to know and teach our kids about, right? Because we're kind of oblivious to what's happening when we're tapping away.
And it changes so rapidly. The more you can keep your finger on the pulse, the better off you are.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I just want to remind everyone, Jim's website is Stickley. That's STICKLEY. So stickleyonsecurity.com. And you can also find Jim online on YouTube at Jim Stickley. Jim, thank you so much. Learned a lot from you today.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to another episode of TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. Be sure to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for another conversation. You can also check out our website, telus.com/podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TELUS Talks.